You think you're exhausted? No, you're untrained. There's a canyon of difference between earned fatigue and chosen surrender. Listen, you weren't born to bend. You weren't born to negotiate with your own potential. You entered this world as raw, iron meant to be forged, hammered, shaped by fire and pressure into something unbreakable. But somewhere along the way, the world convinced you that comfort was the goal. That ease was the prize. That waiting for permission was wisdom. It stops. Here, 5 a.m. While the world sleeps in illusion, you rise in truth. Not because it feels good. It doesn't. Because Marcus Aurelius, emperor of the known world, understood something profound. Self-mastery begins with the first choice of the day. Every morning, when your body begs for 5 more minutes, when your mind whispers just today, when comfort calls your name like a siren, that's not your enemy, that's your teacher. The man in the mirror at dawn, that's who you're fighting for. Not the person everyone expects you to be. Not the version that seeks approval. The one who makes promises to himself and keeps them. You don't rise to impress the world. You rise because warriors sharpen their swords before battle. And every day is battle. Why do you explain so much? Why does every decision need a dissertation? Why does every thought require an audience? Epictetus taught us this. Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Real power doesn't announce itself. It doesn't justify. It doesn't perform. It simply is. Don't you see? The moment you start explaining your choices, you've already lost. You've made yourself a defendant in a courtroom where the jury doesn't even understand the law. Your life is your argument. Your discipline is your statement. Your results are your closing remarks. Stop talking. Start becoming. Seneca trained not for vanity, but for vitality. Not for mirrors, but for mountains he'd have to climb. Not for photographs, but for the philosophy he'd have to carry. Every rep teaches you about resistance. Every mile teaches you about endurance. Every drop of sweat is a vote for the person you're becoming. The weight doesn't care about your mood. The road doesn't care about your excuses. The iron doesn't negotiate. And in that unforgiving honesty, you find something precious. Truth about who you really are when no one's watching, when no one's cheering, when there's nowhere to hide except behind effort. You train your body to train your will. You build your strength to build your character. You suffer voluntarily so you don't break when suffering finds you. Here's the secret they don't want you to know. Invisibility is your superpower. While they're broadcasting every thought, every meal, every mundane moment, while they're performing, there lives instead of living them, you disappear. Not because you're hiding, because you're building. The tree grows its roots in darkness before it ever sees sunlight. The diamond forms under pressure where no eye can witness. The warrior trains in solitude before he ever enters the arena. Fame is fool's gold, shiny, worthless, and poisonous to touch. It makes you build for applause instead of excellence. It transforms your mission into a performance. But you build in the shadows. You grow in silence. You become dangerous while the world sleeps. And when they finally notice, and they will, it won't be because you asked for their attention. It'll be because your strength became impossible to ignore. This isn't a morning routine. This isn't a fitness plan. This isn't a social media strategy. This is architecture. You're building a cathedral of character, brick by brick, choice by choice. In the quiet moments when no one's keeping score, wake early not just to beat the sun, but to remember who you are before the world tells you who to be. Speak less, not to seem mysterious, but to let your actions carry the weight of your words. Train hard not to look strong, but to become unbreakable when life tests your foundation. Stay unknown not to play games, but to build something real in a world obsessed with fantasy. And when the storm comes, and it will come, you won't just survive it. You'll stand in the center of chaos like an ancient oak, roots deep, branches strong, unmoved by the winds that topple lesser trees, because you didn't build yourself for comfort. You built yourself for truth. You didn't build yourself for applause. You built yourself for war. And in a world full of actors, you chose to become real.